Something is brewing in Cleveland that could flip the entire trajectory of the franchise. Behind the scenes, bold moves are being discussed, rumors are swirling, and unexpected names are starting to surface. What if the spark this team has been missing isn't just a player, but something much bigger? What if the key to the Browns' future isn't in the past, but in a move so bold, so unprecedented, it could shift the identity of the entire organization? Let's break it all down. Many fans are tired of Stefanski. What about you? Do you want him to stay or leave? I want to know your opinion. And don't forget to click the like button and come with me. I'll tell you everything. Shedeur Sanders' impact on the Cleveland Browns is already making headlines, and we're only at the beginning of what could be one of the most dramatic quarterback transitions in recent franchise history. With the Browns' offense struggling under Kevin Stefanski, ranking 29th in points per game this season after finishing dead last the previous year, there's a growing sense that change is not just imminent but necessary. Stefanski's inability to spark consistent production, especially when it comes to developing young quarterbacks, has cast a long shadow over his tenure. And now, with Shedeur Sanders stepping in and immediately showing more life than we've seen in any of Dillon Gabriel's starts, the question isn't just whether Sanders is the future, it's whether Stefanski will be around to coach him. There's legitimate buzz around Deion Sanders potentially making the leap to the NFL to coach his son. According to an ESPN insider, there were rumors circulating on draft day that Deion was trying to orchestrate a move similar to Archie Manning's with Eli, essentially steering where Shedeur would land by implying that he would only go where his father could eventually join him on the sideline. Whether that's fact or speculation, it underscores one thing. If Shedeur stays and becomes the Browns' long-term quarterback, Deion Sanders' name will absolutely be in the mix for a head coaching job. And if the Browns are looking for a leader who believes in their quarterback more than anyone else in the world, who better than his own father? But Deion isn't the only name swirling around Berea. John Gruden, the former Raiders head coach, is another option fans are debating. Gruden's football mind is respected, and his passion for the game is undeniable. He grew up a Browns fan, and his energy could bring national attention to Cleveland. However, his controversial departure from Las Vegas might complicate his return to the NFL, raising questions about whether the league would greenlight his hiring. And what if Sanders leads the Browns to a major upset win against the 49ers? Imagine this scenario. Sanders, in just his second start, takes down a playoff-caliber team while energizing the entire locker room. From what we've seen, the players already rally around him. He's dynamic, confident, and thrives under pressure. That win could mark a turning point not just for the team's record, but for its culture, a fresh chapter in a franchise starved for consistency and charisma at the quarterback position. Let's not forget what Sanders already accomplished in his debut. More deep passes than we saw in all of Gabriel's starts, poise under pressure, and most importantly, a win. He's the first Browns quarterback since 1999 to win his debut start, a stat that hits different in a city that's endured decades of quarterback carousel. The energy is palpable. Browns fans are seeing something they haven't in a long time. Hope. But what if Sanders doesn't shine the rest of the season? That's the question Corey Dots raises. If he's merely average, do the Browns go back to the quarterback well in the draft? The answer depends heavily on what average really means. If he can produce at a decent level despite a porous offensive line, or receiving core plagued by drops and fumbles, and a head coach who hasn't shown much capability in developing young passers, then maybe he's earned another year. Throwing a new rookie into that mess wouldn't solve anything, it would just create more confusion. Instead, build around Sanders. Strengthen the offensive line. Add reliable receivers. Give him the tools to succeed before you move on. We're also seeing Deshaun Watson, for all the scrutiny he's received, taking a mentor role on the sidelines. Multiple times during Sanders' debut, Watson was seen going over plays with him, showing genuine investment. That matters. And given Watson's hefty cap hit of over $80 million next season, he's not going anywhere. So if he can't contribute as a starter, at least he can be an asset in Sanders' development. The tight end situation with David Njoku also highlights the front office's intentions. Despite rumors of a trade, spurred by his contract situation and age, Njoku wasn't moved. Instead, both sides seem committed to a potential extension. That kind of move speaks to a team looking to stabilize around its young core rather than break it apart. But Stefanski's seat is undeniably hot. It's not just the losses. It's the predictability, the lack of spark, the sense that the offense is stuck in neutral no matter who's under center. The fan base is restless, and ownership might be too. Even if Sanders wins games, it might not be enough to save Stefanski, especially since Sanders wasn't his pick, Gabriel was. Stefanski named Gabriel the starter, gave him the backup reps, and only turned to Sanders due to injury. It wasn't a choice, it was forced by circumstance. And now that Sanders is gaining momentum, it's fair to question whether Stefanski is the right coach to guide his development. And if a coaching change does come, retaining defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz becomes priority number one. What he's done with this defense since arriving in 2023 is remarkable. Letting him walk would be a huge mistake. If that means elevating him to head coach just to keep him, that might be the path forward, so long as the Browns can find a dynamic offensive coordinator to breathe life into the attack. What do you think, Browns fans? Should Deion Sanders be seriously considered as the next head coach of the Cleveland Browns if Shedeur becomes the long-term starter? Let's talk about what it would really mean if Deion Sanders came to Cleveland, not just as a symbolic move to coach his son, but as a full-fledged head coach in the NFL. It would be unprecedented. It would shake up the league. And it would put the Browns on every major headline, every sports show, every social media feed across the country. Deion Sanders brings star power, leadership, swagger, and a deep understanding of what it takes to win, both as a player and now, increasingly, as a coach. And more than anything, Coach Prime has shown at Colorado that he can energize a program, attract talent, and build culture. That's exactly what Cleveland needs. For years, the Browns have had the pieces in place, a strong defense, promising draft picks, a loyal fan base, but what's been missing is identity. A voice. A leader that doesn't just manage the game but commands respect. If Shedeur Sanders shows over the final 5 games that he can be a viable starter in this league, it sets up a real possibility. Deion Sanders leading the Browns and building the kind of team that finally stops the endless cycle of failure at the quarterback position. Of course, there's risk. Deion isn't proven at the NFL level. Coaching his son would create unique dynamics. But what's the alternative? Stick with a coach whose offense is near the bottom of the league for 2 straight years? Risk losing the one defensive coach you absolutely need to retain? Let's be honest, this team is at a fork in the road. One path leads to bold decisions and a true reboot around a quarterback with real upside. The other keeps things safe, slow, and stagnant. The former might fail, but the latter already has. And let's not overlook the fact that if Cleveland doesn't address the offensive line in this upcoming draft, no quarterback, rookie or veteran, is going to succeed. It was a huge miss not drafting a single offensive lineman last year, especially when you drafted not 1, but 2 quarterbacks. That has to change. This time around, Andrew Berry must make the offensive line the top priority. 2 tackles. Best available. Whatever it takes. Without protection, Sanders' mobility won't be enough to keep him upright or healthy. Speaking of draft decisions, this year's rookie class has shown flashes of brilliance. Swissinger has been a defensive revelation, a legitimate defensive rookie of the year candidate. Judkins, despite having defenders stacked against him on nearly every down, still runs with vision, toughness, and power. If you put an actual line in front of him, he has top 5 running back potential, no question. He sees more stacked boxes than any other running back in the league, yet still finds ways to produce. That's rare. And look, we all know that when new coaches come in, they want to bring their people. That's the fear with moving on from Stefanski, losing Jim Schwartz, or even Tommy Rees if college offers come calling. But the Browns have to find a way to make it work. If keeping Schwartz means promoting him, do it. Just make sure you bring in an offensive coordinator who can get this team out of the bottom 5 in yards and points. Because that's unacceptable, no matter who the quarterback is. It's also time to face reality on the Deshaun Watson contract. It's a disaster financially, but he's not going anywhere next year. Over $80 million in cap hit? That's not something you can just eat. So if he's going to be on the roster, at least extract value. Have him mentor Sanders. Help with film review. Be that veteran voice in the locker room. He's got knowledge. He's just not been able to execute it here. So use him in a way that supports the team without hurting it. The hope for Browns fans is this: Shedeur Sanders shows enough down the stretch that the front office commits to building around him. That means keeping the right coaches, bringing in offensive line reinforcements, adding reliable pass catchers, maybe even targeting a standout from Ohio State. The window is open right now to change the narrative in Cleveland. It just requires the courage to commit to a plan that doesn't rely on short-term fixes. And let's be clear, this team has real potential. The defense is top tier. The young core is promising. The fan base is ready to believe again. All they need is direction. Sanders brings excitement, and with the right support, he could bring long-term stability to the most unstable position in franchise history. But this is only going to work if the organization fully commits, no more half measures. Sunday's game against San Francisco might seem like just another matchup, but it's much more than that. It's a test. For Sanders. For Stefanski. for the entire direction of this franchise. Beat a playoff team, go 2-0, and suddenly the entire conversation changes. You're no longer looking at a team in transition. You're looking at a team with a potential star quarterback, a defense that can carry you deep into the postseason, and a city that's ready to rally. So Browns fans, this is where you come in. If you're ready to turn the page, if you believe in Shedeur, if you're intrigued by the idea of Coach Prime or even just a new era of football in Cleveland, now's the time to get loud. Hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and leave a comment with your take. And don't go anywhere, click on the next video on your screen. You'll get the news before anyone else because all the updates, all the rumors, all the truth about your Cleveland Browns, it's all right here. Go Browns!